All right, everyone, welcome back to International Soccer Break. I have the same two faces that you've been seeing, Rahi and Roy. And, they thought they got rid of us, but we're back because the U.S. team won. Let me just, for those that missed it, let me just throw the score of the last game on there. So let's quickly
There it is.
recap. Let's quickly
There it
recap
is.
the U.S.-Iran game quickly, and then we'll get on to sort of the preview of the game against the Netherlands. But I'll start with Rahi. What was your take on the game?
I mean, I barely survived the game. I mean, I nearly had a heart attack multiple times during the second half, but I mean, it was amazing. What can you say? They had to get a win. They set themselves up for a win in your in scenario in the last game, and they got the job done. And I thought about this over the past couple of days because when I was watching the second half, I thought, why did they have to put me under so much stress? Why was this so stressful? Why did they start defending so early? Why was this an insane free-for-all second half? And then I watched all the other group games that followed and all the deciding games in each of the other groups. And I realized this is how it is. This is a World Cup. Unless you're a Brazil or you're not even Spain, let's be honest. So unless you're a Brazil, these games are going to be tough. They're going to have this do or die attitude that both teams are playing with. And we survived. Look, we dominated the game for 60 minutes. After that, we defended like mad, but we defended well. We got a little lucky. You have to get a little lucky, but it was fantastic. I mean, this is a team that has played well through 3 group games, deserved to get out of the group, got out of the group, and it's huge. I mean, I didn't enjoy a lot of that second half because I thought I wouldn't survive it, but I'm happy. I'm really happy.
Yeah, Roy, what about you? How were your nerves during that game?
I was miserable during I would say the entire game, but mostly that second half. And this is how I'm feeling now. I'm feeling confident in the US's ability to get a result. What I'm really worried about is that this is the same pattern we've seen in the Wales game. We kind of started to see it in the England game, and we absolutely saw it again in the Iran game. We start the game really well, like some of the most beautiful soccer we've played in a long time or ever. It's not the US team that we grew up with. But then we go to a second half and we crumble and we give the ball up. We stop pressing the way we pressed in the first half. We stop controlling the game. We stop creating the chances. And it just becomes let's clear it. Let's make sure to win headers every time they cross into the box every 2.5 minutes. And it's terrifying. It's uncomfortable. It's miserable. But this time, we're having a happy conversation because we got the result. Could have very easily gone a different way. It could have went through Matt Turner's legs and maybe Zimmerman didn't make that run back. So I'm so happy where we are where we are. I'm happy we're in the round of 16. I'm terrified that if we played the same way against a much better team, which is the Netherlands, they're going to make us pay. So that's where I am now.
Let's take what we've learned over the last 3 games and kind of put it together moving forward for what they need to do against the Dutch. So Rahi, why don't you start that?
Yeah, so I think if you take the first 3 games, the lessons they've learned game to game, we talked about progress as a program, and I've seen a lot of progress in this tournament itself. You saw the first half of the first game was perhaps the best first half they played in the entire tournament. And things fell apart a bit in the second half. They didn't have that maturity to kind of manage moments. The second game was a great first half performance and then a great second half performance and nearly came away with the win. And the third game, we talked about having to get that goal, having to get that moment. And they did find the moment in the first half. Christian Pulisic putting his body on the line and it was a great team move. And then they defended it. Yes, they were a little immature. Haji Wright had that moment where he should have taken it to the corner flag, takes a shot instead. But what I saw was more maturity in managing the game. So you take game 1 to game 3, similar situation in the second half, and they managed it much better. So I think it's really a combination of, we know that against the Netherlands, we're going to have moments where we can be strong, we can attack, we can create opportunities. We did that against England. I think we'll do that against the Netherlands. The difference is, compared to an Iran or Wales, Netherlands is a team that's very clinical and they don't need much to score. They did that against Ecuador, a game they should have lost that they tied, a game they probably should have lost against Senegal that they won. So they have those game changers, Gakpo, of course, being the primary one at the moment. So they can take advantage of those moments. But I thought what I learned about this team in the Iran game is we were able to find a way to get a result and to rise to the occasion. And I think we'll play up to the level of our opponent, the Netherlands. And it just becomes a matter of, as we talked about in the England game, what do you do with the moments that you create? Because this team is creating a lot. I'm not as concerned with us in the back because I think we're going to be solid. And if they score, they're going to score in, someone's going to have a moment of brilliance. And that's fine. You live with that. But we're going to have to match those moments of brilliance.
Yeah, Roy, what about the lineup? Is there anything you'd like to see changed or what?
So I'm interested to see what's going on with Pulisic. It sounds like he'll be available. It sounds like he'll probably start, but I'm more interested to see what's going to happen with Sargent because I thought he was the best player against Iran. I thought he did everything and more than what we expected him to do. And he's kind of this unsung hero because he's not creating goal scoring opportunities on his own. He's not taking many shots. He's not, he's not doing what we initially wanted him to do, what he's doing in England now, but he is kind of playing that Jesus Ferreira against teams like Grenada role where he's possessing really well. He's connecting really well. And I'm loving it. I absolutely love how he played against Iran. What are our other options? Our other options are, based on Berhalter up until this point, it's probably going to be Haji Wright, which I don't think that will be the right decision. We've seen him a lot already with the U.S. in these past few months. We've seen him a lot in this World Cup. He isn't the player we need. He isn't the player that should start this game. He isn't the player that's going to be effective. So my main lineup point is it shouldn't be Haji Wright. We need to figure out something that we don't play Haji Wright in this scenario. I don't know if it's moving Reina. I don't think Berhalter is going to take a risk like that and move a winger to the forward position, but it might be the debut of Ferreira. Is he ready? I don't know. It's hard to say. He had a terrible last 3 months in MLS where he just completely fell off the radar. Maybe that carried over to this, but I think it's going to be critical who starts at the 9.
What about in the back, Roy? Greg Berhalter made a big decision in this game. He brought on Cameron Carter-Vickers for Walker Zimmerman, who started the first 2 games. It was a big decision, and I thought he was fantastic. Do you stick with him or do you go back to Walker Zimmerman?
It's a hard one because if you kind of scroll around social media, a lot of people are in the CCV camp. My worry with that is that I've seen him play several times for the US. I've seen him play quite a bit for Celtic. He is mistake prone. And he didn't really step wrong against Iran. I thought he had a very strong game. There were a couple little plays where he could have been punished if it was against the Netherlands and he did what he did against Iran a couple times. Could have been a goal, or it could have been a better goal scoring opportunity. But I thought when Zimmerman came on, he was excellent. I thought Zimmerman's been mostly very good in this tournament. So it's a tough one. If I were to make a decision now, I would probably continue off of that Iran game because of recency, because these guys have just played with each other, Reem and CCV, and I would just continue that. I wouldn't make any drastic change at this point.
Yeah, that's what I would do too. I just felt very comfortable with him back there, and I just feel like, like you said, maybe he's gonna have a couple mistakes, but I just felt he was up to task for a very, very tough game, and Zimmerman played well in his limited minutes, but I just felt very comfortable with him back there.
Yep.
I think just like lastly, I just want to talk about what do you think is going to be the difference maker against the Dutch team?
I think it's Weston McKennie, to be honest. We've had a few of our big players step up. Christian Pulisic getting the goal. Weston McKennie had that big chance against England. If he puts it away, it's the difference. He was good for the most part with the great pass against Iran. But I think in this kind of game, it comes down to your stars and the players who are difference makers. Timothy Weah has been fantastic the whole tournament. Christian Pulisic getting the goal in this game. I think it's Weston McKennie's turn, and if he comes up on a set piece or something from outside the box, that could be the difference. I don't see us. I'm really encouraged. I think we can play with this team, with this Dutch team, but that doesn't mean that we're going to win unless we find a moment of magic. And where's that going to come from? And I think it's his turn.
Yeah, Roy, where do you think that's going to come from? The moment of magic.
So, first I'll start with who needs to be flawless, and it needs to be Matt Turner. I think he's going to be under heavy fire this game, more so than any other game we've played so far. It's critical that our center backs are just on point, and especially Matt Turner. I think he's going to be tested. But moving forward, I think the one that needs to get to a higher gear for us to be successful is Yunus Musa. And the reason I say that is because our transition play has been a weakness. And if we're going to be pressured, we're going to have to transition effectively. And the guy to do that is Yunus Musa. We've seen him do it before. We've seen him break lines. He's not doing it very much in this tournament. He's playing a slightly different game. So I feel for us to be successful, we're going to have to transition well. And that starts with the Yunus Musa.
Yeah, I'm going to leave us with two things as we look forward to the game. I think set piece is huge. The Netherlands team has allowed a goal off a set piece already. And the second thing is, I think kind of what you guys alluded to, test that goalie. That goalie is not that good. I'm telling you, I've seen him the last few games. The Netherlands goalie is a little bit shaky, so we gotta fire some shots, good shots at him. So, all right, well, cool. Thanks for joining again. As always, go USA.
Let's go. Round of 16. Let's go.
Round of 16. Lastly, scores. What's the final score prediction for both of you?
2-1. 2-1 US.
I'm going 1-1. We win it on penalties.
I got the same as Roy. I think we're going to penalties and we're going to beat him in penalties. But all right, everyone, go USA. Everyone watch the match tomorrow, and see you guys next time.